Welcome to this explainer on the foundations of economics. You know, when you hear that word economics, you might instantly picture chaotic stock markets, some crazy complicated math, or Wall Street bankers in suits. But today, we're diving into Chapter 1, and we're going to see how this subject is really just the study of everyday choices. It's literally the science of how you, me, local businesses, and even entire governments navigate our daily lives.
So here's our roadmap for today, lined up right with Texas TEKS standards. We're going to tackle the problem of scarcity, look at choices and opportunity costs, break down micro and macroeconomics, and finally, we'll wrap up with a real-world $1,000 challenge.
Let's kick things off with a quick question to get you thinking. Look at your own daily routine. What's something you desperately want, but you just can't have an unlimited amount of? Is it time? Is it money? Or, if you're anything like me, is it just a few more hours of sleep? Keep that specific limitation in the back of your mind, because that exact constraint is the engine driving every single concept we're about to cover.
Section 1. The problem of scarcity, the core of economics. We're going to zoom right in on the foundational problem that drives absolutely every economic decision you will ever make.
But before we get into scarcity, we gotta define our main subject here. Economics isn't actually just about money. It's a social science. It studies human behavior. Specifically, it looks at how individuals, businesses, and entire societies decide how to use scarce resources. The giant puzzle economics tries to solve is that our human wants are practically infinite, but the resources we have to actually fulfill those wants, well, they're strictly limited. So this forces us to ask three huge questions. What should we produce? How should we produce it? And ultimately, who gets it?
And that brings us to the textbook definition of scarcity. It's the condition where there just aren't enough resources, goods, time, or money to satisfy every single want. Now let's clear up a massive misconception right off the bat. Scarcity does not mean poverty. Poverty is a severe lack of income needed for basic survival. Scarcity, though? Scarcity is universal. Even a billionaire experiences scarcity. Why? Because no matter how much money you have, you still only get 24 hours in a day. Even a massive billion-dollar tech giant has a limited number of engineers and equipment. Bottom line, scarcity is just limited resources clashing with competing wants.
And here's the really wild part. This very concept of scarcity is exactly what creates value. Think about it. A regular old used sneaker, probably not worth much, but a unique sneaker tied to a legendary athlete, boom, it becomes a high-priced collectible. Or take Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi painting. It sold for hundreds of millions of dollars simply because it's completely one of a kind. But scarcity applies to the basics too, like clean drinking water or unpolluted air. And of course, the ultimate scarce resource we all share, time.
Moving into Section 2, choices and opportunity costs, making decisions. Because scarcity is literally everywhere. You absolutely cannot have everything all at once. And that universal truth, it forces us to make choices.
Let's consider an everyday trade-off. Say school ends at 3 p.m. You've got two options for your afternoon. Option A, work a part-time job and make some extra cash. Or Option B, attend sports practice. Since your time is a scarce resource, you simply can't be in two places at once, right? Choosing one path automatically means you have to give up the other.
So here is the crucial takeaway. Whatever you give up is what economists call your opportunity cost. It's defined as the next best alternative you sacrifice when a choice is made. If you choose to work, your opportunity cost is the practice you missed and the skills you didn't develop. If you choose practice, your opportunity cost is that paycheck you didn't earn. Every single time you drop $40 on new clothes today, your opportunity cost is the $40 you could have saved for a car down the road. Every choice has a cost, no exceptions.
All right, Section 3, microeconomics, the small scale. Let's explore exactly how economists categorize all these choices and opportunity costs, starting from the ground up.
Think of microeconomics kind of like a microscope. We're zooming way in on the specific choices made by individuals, households, and businesses. We're looking at single, individual units of the economy. When a family sits around the kitchen table to figure out how to stretch a paycheck, or when a worker is deciding whether to take a specific job offer, they're doing microeconomics.
These are super relatable, micro-level decisions we all make. Should you buy lunch today or bring food from home? Does it make sense for a family to take out a loan for a used car right this minute? Or how about a local bakery? Should they hire another employee, or will the cost of paying them completely outweigh the extra bread they'd be able to bake? Every single one of these choices involves a direct trade-off, and it's all driven by constraints like a strict budget or limited hours in the day.
Which brings us to Section 4, macroeconomics, the big picture.
Now we're going to swap that microscope for a telescope and zoom out to the entire economy.
When you look at them side by side, the difference is crystal clear. While micro focuses on those individual units, like one person, a single family's budget, or that one local bakery, macroeconomics focuses on massive national and global economic systems. It is the big, big picture.
Macroeconomics examines the really large-scale issues. We're talking national unemployment rates, overall inflation across an entire country, federal taxation, government deficits, and economic growth. And what's absolutely fascinating here is that the core problem of scarcity, it still completely applies. Even a massive national government with a huge budget cannot fund every single program endlessly. They still have to choose between defense, education, healthcare, and infrastructure. And you guessed it, when their spending outpaces their revenue, they run a deficit.
A perfect real-world example of a macroeconomic crisis is the severe instability we saw in Zimbabwe during the 2000s. The country got hit with hyperinflation, meaning prices rose so insanely fast that people literally had to carry actual wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy a single loaf of bread. This wasn't just one local bakery raising prices. This was a massive national phenomenon that destroyed the usefulness of their entire currency. It impacted millions of households and businesses all at the exact same time, which is exactly why inflation and public finance sit firmly under the umbrella of macroeconomics.
And finally, Section 5, the $1,000 Challenge, Applying Your Knowledge. We've tackled the core theories, so let's put this foundational vocabulary to the ultimate test with a real-world scenario.
We call this the $1,000 challenge. Imagine you just received a fictional $1,000 budget. Your mission is to allocate that money across your needs, your wants, some savings, and transportation. And you have to account for every single dollar. Because human nature pretty much guarantees you're going to have way more wants than you have money, scarcity kicks in immediately. You simply can't buy everything on your list. You have to prioritize. For every major purchase you lock in, I want you to identify exactly what you gave up to get it. In other words, what is your opportunity cost? Building a great plan isn't about getting everything, it's about maximizing the value of your limited resources.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on. Take a look around your own life. Recognize your own limited resources, whether that's the cash in your pocket, the physical space in your room, or just the hours in your day. What is a specific example of scarcity you are facing right this very minute? And what exact choices and opportunity costs is it forcing upon you? Once you start seeing the world through this lens of scarcity and trade-offs, you realize economics isn't just trapped in some textbook, it's happening every single time you make a decision.